Hey, it's Robbie McCarty with Patriot Crawl Space Repairs, and in today's video I want to go over something in a common question that we get a lot this time of year, and that is what is causing my walls to crack and my floors to sink? So a lot of times what you'll see is drywall cracks that happen when the weather cools down, and the reason for that is that during the summer, when humidity is high and everything's moist, the wood under your home swells. When the temperature cools down and things start to dry out, that wood shrinks and it causes the floors to sink a little bit and everything to constrict. So that causes things like that are brittle, like drywall and plaster, to crack. Some of the common places that you'll see wall cracks in homes are above doorways, above windows, and then you may see foundation cracking on the exterior wall of the property. So let's first talk about what causes the walls to crack inside the home. So inside the home, normally you'll see diagonal cracks above doorways or above windows, and that's mainly going to be caused in most cases by the wood that supports the underside of the home shifting, changing shapes, or you may have wood damage under the home. But in most cases, since we're in a humid and moist climate here in Hampton Roads, what's happening is that during the summer, especially if you have a vented crawl space, it's super hot out and there's super high humidity. So all of that humid air comes into your crawl space under your home, and it actually condensates on the ductwork, the wood, everything under the house. Another way to look at condensation is some people call it sweating. So all summer long, you've got kind of a mini rainforest under your home. We talk about that a lot. And one of the things that stays wet all summer is the wood under the home. And let's say you've got beams and joists and subfloor, all of these things under the house that could be soaking up moisture. It's hundreds of pieces of wood supporting the floors and the walls of your home. Well, once that wood gets moist, it actually swells. So just like a sponge, things that are wet swell and things that are dry shrink. So in the summertime, once that wood swells because it's wet, it's at the highest volume that it's going to be at. So if you have squeaky floors or anything like that is shifty or makes noise in the home, a lot of times we'll hear people say, we don't hear it in the summer, it doesn't do it. And then when it cools off, then it starts doing it again. That's because of seasonal moisture. So over years and years, that wood changes shape a little bit. It can warp. And all of this causes the walls and the doorways and all of the different load-bearing structures in your home to shift a little bit. It can also go up to the attic. So all summer, the attic and the crawl space, but mainly the crawl space, are under extremely moist and humid conditions. So it'll expand, everything pushes out, pushes up all summer long. And then once October and November hit, things get really dry. So the humidity drops down from 90% to maybe 40%, sometimes even lower if it's real cold out. And that wood, all of the fibers in that wood, once it dries out, they shrink, kind of like a dry sponge. Think of it that way. And when that happens, things that are brittle, like mainly plaster in the home or bricks on the foundation wall, or even tile, will start to crack. Another thing that you'll see is floors start squeaking, creaking, things seem loose. And a lot of people think when this happens that they have a foundation issue, and they don't really have a foundational support issue. They have a seasonal moisture issue, which causes the wood in their home, which makes up the entire structure from the wood, from the roof, down to the crawl space, to expand and contract throughout the year. And when this happens over 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, maybe even 50 years, over time, that wood can permanently warp, change shape, or sag. So another thing that you'll see aside from walls cracking is you'll see floors start to dip and bow. And a lot of times you might see where it looks like the center wall of the house or the stair walls or walls around the foyer seem like they're sinking into the floor. And people a lot of times will think that this is because their foundation is settling. It's not because the foundation's settling, it's because the wood is sagging. So over time, the floor joists and the wood that make up the underside of the floor support will bow a little bit, just like deck boards that have been through years and years of seasonal moisture and drying. It'll bow and you'll get dips in the middle of floors, you'll get bouncy floors, you'll get walls that seem like they're sagging into the floor a little bit. This is all due to seasonal moisture over years and years, changing the shape and weakening the fibers a little bit in that wood. So it can, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your wood is rotted or that it's lost its support strength. It just means that it's bowing a little bit. So when that happens, here's what needs to be done. Number one, you have to stop the seasonal moisture from occurring. As long as you're having moisture swings and wood that gets wet or insulation that gets wet throughout the year and then dries out in the winter, you're going to have cracking problems and support issues. You may also end up having foundation issues because of the lack of moisture control. So basically you need to get the crawl space cleaned out, cleaned up, remove any mold that might be on the wood, seal the vents and the door so that the outside air stays out, and install a dehumidifier. A common word that people use to refer to this is encapsulation. Now, encapsulation can be a full encapsulation that's super expensive and has plastic wrapped up the walls and piers, but it can also just be a ground pin vapor barrier, because what encapsulation really means is that we're keeping the outside air out of the crawl space. A lot of people think that the moisture comes up out of the ground, and it doesn't. The moisture primarily comes in through the crawl space vents. So once we air seal the crawl space and control the humidity via a machine like a dehumidifier, and we have a vapor barrier down and everything's cleaned up, that cuts out these seasonal moisture cycles and keeps that humidity and moisture at a regulated level throughout the year. So once you regulate the humidity and have the space dried out, then you can go patch wall cracks, fix loose flooring, fix joists that may be bowed or beams that may be bowed. But until you actually stop the problem, which is the seasonal moisture swings of things getting wet and then drying out again, then you really can't solve the issue. You could go fix things and then it's going to start all over again. So you've got to understand that when we're talking about wall cracking, floors bowing, walls sagging at the interior of the home, it's all a moisture issue. It's not a foundational support issue. It's from wood changing shape, sagging, maybe even a little bit of wood rot or damage from the moisture. So I hope this video is helpful. If you had the question, why are my walls cracking, or why are my floors sinking and sagging, that's the answer. It's because of seasonal moisture in the wood under your home that supports your floors changing shape and basically that support giving way or getting corrupted and sagging. So again, to correct that, clean the space out, stop the moisture, seal it up so that outside summer air can't get into the space, and control the humidity going forward. And you're basically pausing time. Once you do that, you're not going to have the seasonal moisture swings, and you're not going to have the moisture attacking your wood and causing your wood to shrink and swell and change shapes going forward. So it'll be more like the wood under your home is in a library or in a vault, no longer that it's outdoors and having this wet, dry every year throughout the year. So again, I'm Robbie McCarty with Patriot Crawl Space Repairs. If you want us to take a look at your home and give you any ideas on controlling the moisture, repairing any structural issues, give us a call, shoot us an email, and we'd love to come out and look at it and see if we can be of help. Thanks again for watching, and make it a great day.